Okay, it's about 5:20 and I'm just setting off into Bristol, about 15.5 miles. So I'm booked on to a train from Bath Spa, my hometown, to Norwich. It will take me up to Paddington. I'm actually going to ride through London 4.5 miles to Liverpool Street, then it's a direct route there from London to Norwich. But last night there was a signals failure at Bath Spa and there was chaos by all accounts. And they were rerouting the London traffic onto the South Wales to London main line via Swindon, and they were organising bus travel for the people stranded at Bath Spa. So I may well be overthinking this. I thought, just to protect myself from that risk, cycle to Bristol Temple Meads, and if you are rerouted, you'll at least be on the train avoiding Bath Spa. This could well be unnecessary, this leg, but it's quite a crucial journey, this, so I don't want anything going wrong if I can avoid it. So next stop, Bristol Temple Meads. There's Temple Meads up there. You can see the railway carriages going over this pedestrian and cycle bridge. Oh, through there by the look at it. Right. And here we are. Gosh, I didn't know this existed. So I got into Paddington a little bit late because the train had to run slow through Maidenhead because there were reports of trespassers on the line. So I'm actually going to take the Elizabeth line across town to Liverpool Street, where I pick up my next train to Norwich. I was going to ride across, can you see I made up a route? I thought it'd be quicker going over above, but because I'm running a little bit late, I think I'm going to wait, so it's going to be the second train in. So my train reads like a monopoly board: Bond Street, Liverpool Street, Tottenham Court Road, Whitechapel.
Liverpool Street.
We're now at the platform level at Liverpool Street. I'm on the 10:30 to Norwich, just waiting for the platform to be announced, so it's going to be one of these along here. Here we are then, in Norwich, bang on time. Norwich, the Fords National Park. It says 11:17, that actually means 12:17, unless we've gone back in time. Well, it's coming up to 3:10 in the afternoon now on Sunday, June the 14th. I've just checked into my travel lodge. Norwich Central, and it's literally just over the river from the railway station, up the hill slightly, and then down this little side street to the left it would be. I did make a video outlining what I was going to be doing on my summer cycle tour, so I've decided to come to Norfolk and explore these ancient pilgrim routes, medieval pilgrim routes. There's the book. This book inspired me. It's by Andy Bull. So there's all these different coloured pilgrim routes, and it tells you there's a key at the top. And also there's pilgrim trails around Norwich, which is what I've been doing this afternoon. There'll be one at Walsingham later in the week, one at King's Lynn. So roughly what I'm doing is I'm heading in over the marshes tomorrow to Great Yarmouth, So I'm taking that one, then I'm taking that one up there to Walsingham. Then, because I do want to go up the coast, I'm going that way to Old Hunstanton, and then I'm going to cut across, join that blue one into Norwich, take that one along there, come back. I haven't got a travel lodge at King's Lynn, it's just prohibitively expensive, so I'm going to camp somewhere, whether it's a campsite or a wild camp, I don't know. And then finally, again like today, there's a walking pilgrimage trail. That today has been absolutely brilliant. According to a 1974 BBC programme, which is actually on the iPlayer, presented by John Betchman, Norwich has more medieval churches within its city walls than London, York and Bristol put together. It's quite an amazing fact actually, and I visited so many this afternoon. That's a fantastic way really from this book to get a really good feel for the geography of Norwich and to see a lot of those churches and lots of other places of interest, riverside walks. So I've had a really good day so far.
Hello, good morning. It's just gone 5:15 a.m. on Monday the 15th of June, so today is day one proper of my start of my cycle tour, exploring the pilgrim routes of Norfolk. Last night I had a good old wander around the town after I checked in. Then I came back here and I went downstairs about 6 p.m. Happy hour in the bar, had bangers and mash, bought my second pint up here and just spent the evening reading my book. I just wrote some notes down to kind of summarise it, so I'll read these very briefly. It says, in the late Middle Ages, Walsingham in Norfolk was the most important pilgrimage destination in England, the most important shrine after Santiago, Rome and Jerusalem. I didn't know that until I read this book. Pilgrims travelled from all over the British Isles, and they came from the continent as well, and they arrived through pilgrim ports such as Great Yarmouth, Cromer, Wells and Hunstanton. And along these feeder routes were numerous hermitages, priories, abbeys, pilgrim churches, wayside crosses and hostelries. And that's what I'm going to be travelling along during this 10-day tour. Henry VIII banned pilgrimage and outlawed the veneration of saints. The pilgrims then stopped coming and the paths they used were forgotten. Now they are being rediscovered. So you may see there's all these bold different coloured lines. That's the pilgrim routes. So I'm going to be exploring some of these. So here we are in Norwich. So my first pilgrim route is going to be this one along here into Great Yarmouth, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. Because these pilgrim routes were catering for people on foot, some of them are going to be footpaths, so there's places where I may have to get off and push. I really do not know how I'm going to get on, so there are going to be country lanes I can hop onto if I have to, but I want to try and stick to the pilgrim routes as much as possible. This is chapter 8 in the book, and it's focusing on that first route I'm doing, Great Yarmouth to Norwich. So you can see straight away I'm doing it in reverse. And it starts off by saying, for the medieval pilgrim, by far the easiest route from Great Yarmouth to Norwich was by boat up what is now the River Yare. So I'm not going to be cycling up a river, but there are these footpaths along dykes across these great marshes, and that's where I'm a little bit unsure. So I may have to go so far, turn round and come back. I simply do not know. So I really am going in at the sharp end. It also says this is the most remote and challenging of the pilgrim routes. So that's what really excites me. And there's also a river crossing here. Can you see that chain ferry taking some cars across the river at Reedham? And I think that's where I may be heading for tonight. And the book suggests allowing 3 days for this trip and being really well supplied and self-sufficient, because there's very little out there. So the first thing I'll be doing is going outside and maybe stocking up with some food for tonight's camp and some sandwiches and snacks for the day, because I don't think there's going to be much along the route. So I'm now on the Ride with GPS app, so there's an overview of my route. Can you see, starting in Norwich where the green square is, heading over to the coast, and then in the opposite direction heading, what would that be, northwestish up to the coast, then looping down to the red square at King's Lynn. And zoom in with this. I have added the distance markers, as you can see. So I'm going to be running right alongside the river. So this is an example. Can you see? All the dotted route is off-road and paved. So I could go straight down that lane there, but I really want to go up and explore all these footpaths and pilgrim paths if I can. Here's another example, look, around about the 11 and 12 mile mark, all unpaved off-road. Whether I can get across there on a bike, I simply do not know, but I'm going to try.
Okay, it's about 7:20. So we're just off the main road, heading down through town. We're going that way, crossing the River Wensum, turning right by the railway station, and we're going to follow that out of town, and then very quickly get on the River Yare and follow that for most of today. Thank you, Norwich Central Travelodge. That was a fantastic stay. Look, there's even a cycle path down. As I was eating my meal last night, I deliberately didn't sit in front of the TV screen, but I could hear there was a World Cup match about to start between Germany and this Central American country, whose entire population would have filled the stadium. I think they said twice over, possibly 3 times over. 0.14 miles from the Travelodge, and here we are. This is the River Wensum. There's a station over there. As I left the station yesterday and walked into Norwich for that pilgrim trail, I saw lots of people going off in the boats. So our full pilgrim cycle tour starts just down there. We leave town along the riverbank. So there's the station I arrived at yesterday. Had a very pleasant overnight stay in Norwich, and now my Garmin is about to ping any second, because the pilgrim trail proper starts just along here. That's it, we're actually on our cycle tour. 186 miles to Great Yarmouth. I wonder what lays in store. Lots of fun and adventure, I hope. I suspect there'll be a few challenging moments. It's all part of the mix, isn't it? So this River Wensum will join the River Yare, which is what we're going to be following most of today, I hope. And the Yare flows into the sea at Yarmouth. There's lots of wildflower patches along here, and all these pedestrian bridges. and what looks like old industrial units being converted into modern day residences. Just left the riverbank, crossing an old swing bridge. There's an even little cabin there, and we're leaving Norwich through the city wall. Carries on that way. A little bit busy, we've got a wide pavement here, then we immediately turn off. Little bit of main road coming out, but there's this shared use path, which means you can avoid the traffic. And I think I've just crossed the river, yeah, and we're coming into Trowse. And hey ho, straight onto a much quieter road as we leave Norwich. So within a couple of miles of leaving Norwich, this is my first unpaved section off-road. And look, it's running alongside this big water expanse. Oh, that's quite good. Norwich, 1.5. Loddon, that's on my Pilgrim trail. There's a church there I want to go and visit. Andy Ball recommends that in the book. But by this big nature reserve. But look at that. What a sight. What a great way to start the day. When I constructed this route, I started in about November. I read Andy Ball's book, and he keeps referring to a website where you can download the GPX routes for walkers. So I thought that's a great place to start, isn't it? And I worked out what I wanted to do. Start at Norwich, aim for King's Lynn. It just made sense to get a train to Norwich, head for King's Lynn and get the train home from there. So I did these 3 or 4 routes. I'm on the first one, the one I'm most excited about, so I think this is going to be the most challenging. It'll give me a taste for how I'm going to get on. I've got a rough idea today where I'm going to head for, the ferry campsite at Reedham. I'm just going to bed myself in really easily. Great sight. I've now left that big lake. There's this narrower channel gone off, and I've got a feeling that's the River Yare. People have been having picnics and barbecues along here. But I wanted to show you this wooden sculpture. Look at this. Diver with his snorkeling and his goggles on, and a paddle and his canoe. Great sculpture out of what used to be a tree. Can hear the main road over there, just the roar of the main road. I think that may be the Norwich bypass, because I do remember looking at the route this morning, we cross over it or under it. Anyway, we cross it. These fire pits, I can understand why people want barbecues here, but these days you can go to somewhere like Lidl's and pick up a raised fire basket off the ground for 5 or 6 quid. They're as cheap as chips, and they're quite well made by the look of it. If you want a fire or a barbecue, keep it well off the grass without scorching it. Anyway, I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man lecturing, but yeah, it kind of saddens me to see that a little bit. Oh gosh, look at this. How nice is this? This is why I like coming over to the eastern side of the country. It's still all very unfamiliar to me. That's why I cannot remember the place names. I'm not familiar with them. But it's got that real sense of exploring. I've actually come to love Norfolk and Suffolk. I really, really have. I was looking for a reason to come back here this year after my previous pillboxes tour and then the Thankful Villages of last year. And I couldn't think of anything. And then suddenly in about October, November, the Facebook algorithm popped up Andy Ball's book. And I thought, oh, I wonder. I went up to my local bookshop, Harry. He ordered it for me, and as soon as I saw it, I thought, yes, that's definitely what I want to do. And I started the planning then. In less than 3 miles, I've already got a feel this is everything I wanted. I was hoping it would be. Back on the minor road, running right alongside that lovely, I think it was called Great Broad. Gosh, the roar of the traffic is almost deafening. Oh, here we are, that explains it. Oh, we're going under the bypass. So we're going under the bypass. Immediately after crossing underneath the bypass, on our second stretch of rough stuff. Right.
You look like you're going fast.
I am. Then we're turning left here. Oh, still on the Worry Man's Way, it's a bridleway. This is one of the first places where I need to make a decision. So I'm on this Worry Man's Way. It's been a public bridleway and it continues public bridleway this way. But the GPS route I'm following takes that footpath, which I've just had a look, goes up through the field that way. I don't want to get the map out quite yet. I just kind of want to follow my nose because I think I'm going to be doing this all week. So this is my first decision, to slightly deviate from the route I've got on my Garmin. So my footpath I've avoided is just over there, but there's a Sustrans sign pointing me down there saying bridleway. So it looks like I'm going to get back on the route. I did not know it, but that was just a short section of footpath which I'm legally not entitled to ride on. And yes, I could push. If I knew it was that short, I probably would have done. Now I'm about to rejoin the Pilgrim route just along here. I'm now back on the Pilgrim trail. So in effect, I used the bridleway around one edge of a field and the footpath cut across the other edge of a field, and then they intersected at the top of the hill. But look at this. Just saw a deer in the middle of that field. As soon as I got the camera out, it scooted off. And this is my route along here. And this is part of a Sustrans route, and it is a bridleway, so I've got every right to ride along here. Obviously be cautious on bends like this, you know, could be walkers coming towards me, but why would I want to rush this? Hear the bird song. It's the morning of day one. It's not even mid-morning yet, and I'm loving this already. Really, really am. This bit's quite narrow, but I have seen some tyre tracks along here. Probably going to get stung a few times on this trip. I'm more than prepared for that. I've had quite a mix of surfaces already this morning. Oh look, coming up to a lane, straight back onto tarmac by the look of it. As I said, I don't want to look at the route too much and analyse it. I just really want to take it as it comes. So one minute you sort of think you're in the middle of nowhere, the next minute you're back on tarmac. And this minor road ended up in a pub car park. This is called the Water's Edge at Woodsend. Look at this decking. I love that. That sculpture there. .6 mile/h speed limit for the boats. Still hear the roar of the distant Norwich bypass. This is wonderful. So we're still on the Worry Man's Way. Was that a Worry Man? I simply don't know. I'll need to look this up later on maybe. You can see we've come along here. Assuming we're heading on that way. So this gives you a good idea. Look, there were alternative lanes I could have taken if I wanted to, and I may have to, but I don't particularly want to. I want to try and follow the Pilgrim Trail as much as possible. What looks like a private drive as we leave the pub. Road again on it. So you do need to walk through this grassy mooring area by the look of it. So I think we're just going to go back up and get on the road up there through this narrow gap in the fence here. So this is a stretch where I probably need to walk just beyond that lady with the dog. Alongside the mooring area there, and just through here it clearly says footpath only, no cycling. So that's exactly what I'm doing, which is why I've allowed myself 10 days to do 186 miles. I will not be aiming for long distances on this trip, and this is one of the reasons why. There's a house there, so there must be a road leading up to it. Oh gosh, it is getting quite narrow. So this is a perfect reason why I will not be aiming for high mileages on this trip. Just come along here, it's very narrow style, and I've had to decant the panniers just to get it all through this narrow gap. I'm heading this way. I did see a couple of tyre tracks back there, but it does say it's a footpath. And there are dog walkers along here as well. Just been passed by one gentleman and his dog. And as you can see, it's a little bit overgrown in places. So far I only had to decant the panniers off the bike once. The rest of it is swing gates. It's fairly well defined, as you can see, so it could, because it's fairly well used. Although I'm not able to ride this section, I'm really enjoying this. I'm more than happy to walk sections of this. Drainage ditch there. You really are on the wetlands. It's got that kind of pongy smell to it as well. Not unpleasant, but you definitely know you're on a wetland. Some of the birds. Just hear the little purr of a boat over there somewhere. Someone else had a bike along here. See the tyre tracks. It looks like I really am weaving around some private land, and then there's a long section, straight section. Whether that's a road or not, I don't know. We'll see. Just intersected with somebody's driveway, then joining a long straight section, which could well be a road, I don't know. Especially with houses here. Can you hear it all beeping? We are turning left here. Back on the Weary Man's Way. I did a short section on minor roads, very minor ones, then I'll just turn down those two roads and end up on gravel tracks, which one of them just took me back there past the nature reserve. I'm now back on what really feels like a Pilgrim Trail farm track down the edge of a field. It's really widened and opened up here. Feel a bit more inland here, although you sense the water's never that far away. I've been looking at the Garmin, trying to make some mental calculations. So I think I said Reedham Ferry and the campsite would be about 26 miles tonight. So if the whole route is 186, that will be at 160 to go, roughly, because my Garmin I navigate off counts down, and I'm currently on 176 to go. So about 16 miles to tonight's destination. If I fancy staying there, I read up about the campsite in bed this morning. It does sound really, really nice. And it's right by a ferry across the River Yare, an old chain ferry, of which there used to be many. But this one we're going to cross at Reedham, where the campsite is one of the only survivors. This is really nice. Slight incline. Nothing that my bike and its gears can't handle. We're going to be doing a sharp left coming up. Oh wow, look at that. Heading over that farm by the look of it. Cornfield either side of me, poppies, long grasses. Heading up to that barn. Earlier on I went across this very narrow boardwalk over this marshland, and the bike and me literally only just fitted on it, and I kept looking down at the tyre thinking, if that goes in that water, it's probably not very deep, but there's no way I'll get it back out again. So that was a bit nerve-wracking. And yes, I definitely walked out, I didn't ride it. My nerves are not that steely. Oh, this is nice. So this is typical of what's happening. I keep cutting across off-road sections up to houses where I join gravel here. Presumably it's going to lead onto a road. And the first of the churches I'm heading for is at Loddon, and that's going to be halfway through today's ride. So I think that would be a good place to head for lunch. I like my churches. I'm on a pilgrimage after all. A non-religious pilgrimage, I would say, but I still like looking at my churches. Not for religious reasons, just because I love the architecture and the feel and the location. I find them really soothing places of peace as well, and there's always something interesting with a church. So typical, through a field, onto a gravel track, onto someone's no-through road down to their residence, and then look, we're going to join the main, and then look up here, T-junction, we're going to go left, join a very, very minor road. So although the sections off-road this morning have felt challenging at times, I'm getting a feel for it now. You're never far from a road, you're cutting across them really. Green lane. There we are. And no sooner are we off that road, onto another track. I saw a sign back there saying danger, boats crossing. So, although we're inland, there's just one of these little inlets here. One of many, I think, one of many thousands. Oh, you really do get a feel for the landscape by doing this. And it feels like somebody's drive. Oh, just thought we were going to end up in someone's garage then. So I literally am just following the line of the Garmin. I remember from looking at the map this morning, there was a section where I came down, kind of went up very narrow channel, did a loop and then came back down. I could have gone straight across, but I wanted to do that. I think that's what I've done. I went up that kind of loose gravelly cinder track, did the turn where that lady was bird watching, and now I'm coming back down and I'm heading for that house by the look of it, so I'm assuming there's tarmac down there. Again, we'll see. Birds of prey up there. I cannot stay here very long because the midges are really bad, and of course because I wear bright colours I'm like a magnet for them, aren't I? I've been walking through woodlands, long grass, nettles, you get the gist. I'm going to have to check myself for ticks in the shower tonight. Just watching that bird of prey hovering, looking for its lunch probably. See all the flies? It's like a magnet for them, aren't I? You can't stop long along here because you just get infested with them. It's opened up enough now to ride this, but I've got to be very careful on my right hand side not to lose balance, so I could easily fall down that slope into the marshland. I'm heading towards what looks like a pub, or a brightly coloured building anyway. Speed limit along here is 5 miles an hour. That's for the boats, not for me. As you can see, we're still on the Wherry Man's Way. That's the way we've just come. And just to the right of that boat, can you see that brick structure in the field? It looks like the base of an old windmill. Again, let's see if I can zoom in. Right in front of us there. Just as we go around this bend, the footpath, the Pilgrim Trail, Wherryman's Way, brings us right into a pub garden by the look of it. And then we're going off to the right, yep, down here. That looks very inviting, doesn't it? Restricted byway, so we're back on rideable track. Wow. Kept thinking that's some sort of power station in the distance. I've just seen it's loads of silo containers, agricultural. You often get a pub sign out by the road, don't you, letting drivers know they've arrived, but there's one there lit by the moorings. It's fantastic. Beauchamp Arms Riverside. Wow, that's just really nice, isn't it? Oh look, even got a burger van there, look. Okay, back on 2 wheels. Leaving the pub car park. On we go. And hey ho, we're going to be back on tarmac. When we get to Loddon, I'm going to aim there for lunch and sit down and look at the map and see exactly where we are in relation to tonight's campsite. But so far, I'm absolutely loving this. What a great way to explore and get off the beaten track in an area I'm not familiar with, but I knew I wanted to explore. The book by Andy Bull was a real inspiration, and the GPX routes were just so useful. I was able to transcribe them straight onto a Ride with GPS cycle mapping app, and I overlaid the OSM layer, and it seemed to confirm it would all be rideable. Although I knew some sections were footpath, but I thought where people can get across, I can normally get a bike across, even if it means decanting the panniers and like lifting them over separately, and then the bike, and then reconnecting it all, which is what I've had to do 3 times already this morning, which I don't mind at all. So yeah, the book and the website with the downloads, inspirational, really beneficially helpful. So this is where I'm coming, and my Garmin's sending me down that way. I suddenly saw that and I thought, I wonder if that's a wayside cross being resurrected, but it's actually a First World War monument, commemoration to the dead. It's very flinty and stony looking, isn't it? Very typical of this area. Gosh, flies are around me again. Flies around like bees around honey. Erected by their sorrowing comrades in arms, grateful fellow parishioners, in proud and loving memory of the brave men who went out from Langley and died fighting for their king, country and kin. 1914 to 1918. Looks like a regimental badge there. So this morning when I was reading the book, it said about these wayside crosses, so I'm kind of looking out for them. And I've just noticed a sign there saying Loddon 2.5 miles that way. We're not going directly there, so it's probably a little bit further this way than 2.5 miles, but that's where I'm kind of heading for lunch. And there's a church there. That will be the first of the churches I really want to go and have a look at, that Andy Ball recommends in his book on the Pilgrim Trail. I'm just doing this final last off-road leg into Loddon for lunch. I saw this free moorings area with some seats. I thought I may stop and have my lunch here, but I've decided not to. Can you see? The minute I stop, I'm like a magnet for the flies. Right, on into Loddon. I think it's going to be a very long lunch at Loddon. I'm going to head for the church, start making some plans. My plan was always Reedham campsite. Got my heart set on that now. There's a risk of getting there too early. So I've really got my heart set on it because it looks nice. I looked it up on the campsite Finder app, read the description. It just seems everything I like about a campsite. It's right by the ferry. Here we are, coming into the small village of Loddon, my lunch stop. And the first of the churches in this direction. So I love the old stone and flint church. Oh, there's a bike rack there. Got this seat for my lunch. I hope I'm going to be able to sit there. I've got the flies around me already. Let's pop in and have a look. Holy Trinity Church is open. Do come in. I will do. Thank you very much. I may have to come in and sit and have my lunch in here actually because of the flies. The magic moment. I love this when I open a church door. First of all, will it be open? And secondly, what will I find inside? Oh, that lovely. Hello. That's quite good. It's got these walk around signs describing each part of the church. So the screen is a room divider. The medieval church screens were used to separate the chancel, the priest's part of the building, from the everyday business of life that took place in the nave. This was long before churches had benches or pews filling up most of the space. Gosh, for such a small place, it's a really big church. Huge, tall roof. Lots of light flooding in with all the windows. Bell ropes out, West Bell Tower. It's very light, you can see not much stained glass. It's mostly opaque with the badges and the saints at the top. Gosh, that's a grand pulpit, isn't it? Pulpits were used to deliver a message in such a way that the person speaking can be seen and heard, and in turn can see the people he or she is speaking to. Gosh, that's a grand old porch, isn't it? It's almost like a church within a church. Wonder if that's an old classroom upstairs. Sometimes they would have rooms above the church or the porch where they would give lessons to the local children. Looks like there's a kite up there circling around. Can you see the problems I'm having with flies there? I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stop here actually. I was going to sit in the porch, but I don't think I better because there's a lady inside. Very friendly, but really nice, this little village. Very busy central car park. Deli there. And there's the War Memorial with the west tower of the church just behind it. This tells you about it. A Loddon War Memorial. After the ending of World War I, the Great War, a local war memorial committee was set up to raise funds to build a fitting memorial to honour those men of Loddon and its surrounding villages who had died because of the war. There's a dedication service, May 1921. Lovingly cared for all seasons, and after World War II space had to be found to add the names of 15 men and 1 woman who had made the ultimate sacrifice. That was a nice little lunch stop outside the co-op. The route actually goes down through the churchyard, so it retraces where I've just been. I found that yesterday with the Norwich Pilgrim Trail. Every time there was a little slight dog leg to the left or the right, it was to a church. So the walks are definitely taking you to the church. I don't think, so far anyway, you would not have ridden by and missed them. This is a perfect example. The route literally cut through the churchyard. Right at the end of the churchyard, straight onto the Pilgrim Trail. That got me thinking, if that was such a welcome place for me to have my lunch, would it have been a welcome overnight place in medieval times? Maybe spend the night there. Made me think about camping actually. Imagine arriving there and this is the last few hundred yards to that church after a long day's pilgrimage. Back over a watercourse straight away, look. I was on a very minor road, signposted towards Reedham Ferry, 3.5 miles, but the Pilgrim Trail came along here and I thought, come on, I've got all afternoon to do it no matter how bad it is. So I'm finding there's these quite wide kissing gates, so I can half decant. I can take one pannier off, get it in, raise it at 90 degrees, get the gate shut, turn it round, manhandle it and get across. So that's what I'm doing. I'm probably going to just check, see what's around the corner first. Oh, so you can tell we're all in all this marshland, but there's another bridge there, but there's no gate across it. So I'm actually quite enjoying this in its own way. It's great doing this. I feel like I've got all the time in the world, and when would I have ever come here before? I wouldn't have done, would I? If it was late in the afternoon, I'd have definitely gone along the more direct tarmac road. But actually I'm really enjoying this. This is what I came for, adventure, and this is what I'm certainly getting. This section is definitely less trodden. This morning it seemed to be popular with dog walkers, well defined, but this is quite overgrown in places. And the usual, I've got to be moving above a certain average speed for the GPS to click in, so I know I'm going in the right direction. Here we are, yeah. Oh, there's a church there. No wonder he's come this way. We're going by a church. Well, because I had plenty of time, I was quite prepared to follow the footpaths, and I had to semi-decant a couple of times, and that bridge was a bit tricky, but I felt like I've got time on my hands, and I could have just ridden along the tarmac road, quite a quiet road. That would have been quite pleasant. It's even signposted to the ferry, so I knew I was heading in the right direction. But I'm so glad I came this way, because guess what? This is a redundant church. It's a Churches Conservation Trust property, CCT. And look at this mixture of stone, flint and brick, and it's got a thatched roof. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen a church before with a thatched roof. I may have done, but I cannot recall it. Is that a hex? No, it's an octagonal bell tower by the look of it. Gosh. So this is St Gregory's at Heckingham, managed by the Churches Conservation Trust property, the CCT. Oh wow. Look at that ornamental arch. Can't remember what that's called. What we're going to find inside. Will it be open? It's open. Oh, this is nice. Slight musty smell. It's an old tomb there, look. Oregon. Square font, lead lined. Whitewash walls. Oh, this is a real find. I'm so glad I made the effort to come across that field, because I did get stung a little bit. My calves are tingling on one side. Oh, wow, look at this. Up step into the chancel. Up another step to the altar. Exactly the type of country parish churches I love. I'm a secular pilgrim, by the way. I travel because it's non-religious, it's fulfilling, deeply fulfilling. Grand old wooden beer, look. That would have been waiting at the lich gate at the entrance to the church for the coffin to be brought. Been rolled onto there, look, he's even got the rollers. And then fastened down, wheeled in, and then it would have gone probably to the front of the church. They'd have draped a cloth over it, and then the funeral service would have been held with the coffin there. Gosh, quite evocative seeing those. I love this church. Oh, the Church's Conservation Trust. I was hoping there'd be a leaflet about this church. You can go to their website and download the information, so I'll certainly be doing that when I get home. St Gregory, Heckingham. Wow. Well, I've just got the internet up and I just did a quick search of Reedham Ferry, and it says it operates until 10 p.m. at night. I wasn't sure whether I needed to get there, say, before 5 or 6 p.m. This feels so much like the Somerset levels, it really does, with the tall reeds. I think that's the riverbank along there. I can see just the top of people walking along there, a couple. One of the pictures that really inspired me in Andy Bull's book was this one of the Reedham Ferry. And I remember looking at it on the map thinking, why on earth would there be a ferry there? I can't imagine the demand is very high. And now I'm here, you know, I'm starting to think that unless it's a commuter route, I don't know. Yesterday in my exploring of Norwich, there was this place called the Ferryman's Cottage, and it was saying Norwich once had about 6 ferries across this one river, and one of them survived up until about the 1930s because people still used it to get to football matches. The river's just over there, I think. It's like a kind of levee. This road's sunken to protect it. Oh look, 100 yards. I guess that's the quay we're coming up to. And there's the orange buildings of Reedham in the distance. I'll get the ferry across, just have a quick look at the campsite, then hop over to Reedham. Don't tell me there's a queue here for the ferry. Oh wow, look, ferry traffic, please wait. Here we are. Oh gosh, there it is. I can really hear the trains pulling. I think I will get this one because I don't know how often they're going to run. I mean, that's only got one van on. There's one car waiting. Don't want to be stranded here. Right.
I seen him in the pub earlier.
Nice looking bar over there. Maybe heading to that tonight. Canoeists. Remains of a windmill. And there's the village of Reedham up there, which is where I'll be heading for before coming back to the campsite. Cyclists must dismount. I would anyway. Chase talking and engaging. I think the campsite is just over there. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheerio.
gosh, another one just turned up. Not massively busy, but it seems to be consistent. I'm back at the ferry crossing. It's actually been a bit of a rush actually, quite busy. There was a queue of cars here and a couple that side. Seems to be back and forth a lot. I went into the campsite, got the app up, tried to ring the booking number, no answer, and I asked the guy who's walking out and he sort of said apparently you've got to see them in the pub. That's what he's been told, and the pub opens again at 5 PM, so it was open when I was here earlier. So I went in to read them, came back. I've just been looking at the app actually, and there's a campsite 3.8 miles away. Estimates I'll be there in 19 minutes, so rather than wait here for 2 hours and get cold, I think I'm going to go up there. It's called the Old Vicarage campsite. I did a quick check on it, hit the link, had a look, and it says it's a tent campsite only, family friendly, encourages barbecues and fires, that sort of thing, and it's on a farm. So I think rather than wait here and start cooling down and get chilly, I'm just going to go 3.8 miles up there. So it is about 2 miles off route, so I'll have to go up that way, come back part of the way tomorrow, and then head through Reedham on my way. I can't carry on the route that way because once I get past Reedham, tomorrow it's going to be quite bleak over Horvergate marshes, and that's where I'm going to go up to the Burnley Arms train station. It's one of the most remote and least used train stations in the country. I'm going to try and get there on a bike. I've heard it's only accessible by train, boats or foot. When they say foot, I'm hoping that includes bicycle. Ferry just coming back across it. Got two on, there's another one waiting. This is a track off a minor road. I've just overshot it by half a mile because I had traffic and I didn't want to keep checking my phone. This is the Old Vicarage farm. That's nice. The owner just came out and saw me. Here we are. The Old Vicarage campsite. He said his number was here. You may pitch wherever you wish, but please don't camp under trees. I came up that road along there, overshot this because there's like a big U shape. It come up this way and go out the other way. So when I came back, I came in that way, which is why I didn't see this. So the owner came out and saw me. That's him just driven by Barry. Pick your own herbs, look. That's all the fire pits, look. If you want the fire, no ash. Oh, hot ash, pick your own herbs. Look at this. Lovely little wet weather shelter. First aid kit, fridge, freezer. USB charging it. Oh, fantastic. There's the box, it's £12, or you can pay by card. Oh, just the job, isn't it? And the loos are there. Gosh, this is really nice. This is just the sort of like. It's now about 6:30 and I've got my tent up and I'm all washed and clean. I'm at the Old Vicarage campsite. See, there's two fields. This upper one, this bigger lower one. There's a few people here, not many. There's my little plot. They've got all these fire pits there. They actively encourage fires and barbecues. There's firewood up there. My bike all staked out. Had a shower, got my towel drying. The usual German army ground sheet carpeting into the tent. They're the shorts I washed at the Travelodge last night. They're pretty much dry. They've been on the back of the bike all day. The shirt and the socks are definitely dry. I've put them away already. This is what I've just washed. Socks, shirt, shorts. They won't dry tonight, but at least they'll get started and then they'll be on the back of the bike tomorrow. Just starting to get my tea sorted. As usual, I've bought some food from Bath, so I think I'm going to be out 9 nights, so I've bought 9 little helpings of either rice or spaghetti. You can see I've snapped it up into 3, and then each night I'll try and get a tin of something. Tonight I'm having chili con carne, and there's one of the bags of spaghetti in there. Just boiling some water up before. I'm just boiling some water up to clean all that pan out after my clothes washing. And I've also bought 4 meals from home. These are more for emergencies really, if I can't find anything. It saves me going hungry. I've got 2 evening meals. I've got 2 chicken tikkas with rice, and I can beef that out with some more rice. I've got 2 all-day breakfasts. They don't weigh much individually, but 4 of them it's probably about £1, £1.50, maybe £2. So I'll probably have one of those all-day breakfasts tomorrow just to get the weight down a little bit. I don't want to go home with any, that's for sure. So if I've still got one on the last night, I'll be eating that and the all-day breakfast the next morning. I'm glad I made the effort to come up here. I was getting a little bit chilly waiting around for the pub to open. I kind of kicked myself for not booking in earlier on, but 2:30 felt far too early. And so I just looked on the camping app and I saw this was there, and it sounded really nice, and it is nice as well. Barry, when he came over and introduced himself and told me what the facilities are and how much, and I asked if I was able to camp. He asked where I'd come from. I said Norwich. I said, I know it's not very far, but I've been following these medieval pilgrim routes. And he said, oh, which way was that? And I sort of said, well, I've been coming along the bank of the River Yare. And he said, oh, what, south or north? And I said, like, mostly south until I got to Reedham Ferry, then I'm on the north now. But tomorrow's going to be quite a trek. Going to go over Gate to Marshes, and then I'm going to try and get up to the Burney Arms station and then make my way into Great Yarmouth. So hopefully I'll be at the seaside tomorrow night. Depending on how I get on, I may camp at the racecourse campsite, which I've stayed up twice before at Great Yarmouth. If I get there too early, I'll press on. I'll just take the day as it comes. But I think the morning in particular is going to be quite tough. A lot of that's off-road, and I think a lot of it will be walking.